And in the Bay Area, a coalition of organizations, including East Bay for Ceasefire Now, the National Lawyers Guild Bay Area chapter, the Jewish Voice for Peace Bay Area chapter, and East Bay Families for Ceasefire, today gathered at the Castro Valley Library for a People's Tribunal, charging Congressman Eric Swalwell with complicity in the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. KPFA spoke with Vann Jones, the lead organizer for East Bay for Ceasefire Now. We asked him why Swalwell was targeted.
So, similar to other representatives in the area as well as nationally, such as, Joseph Biden, there's really, sort of a two-faced situation happening right now, right? Where they say that they want, humanitarian aid to go to Gaza. They want the ceasefire to come, but they have all of these stipulations. So, in the case of Eric Swalwell, especially, his stipulation for calling for a ceasefire is to have Hamas lay down all of their weapons first and to surrender and to release hostages. And he will not call for a ceasefire until that happens. And, at East Bay for Ceasefire Now, our concern is that the hostages will never be able to be released if they are, continued to be bombed upon, right? Like we cannot have these civilians and hostages under constant fire and, expect there to be an end to this war. So many hostages have already, been killed by the Israeli government. And it's a very obvious ploy that, representatives are holding off on ceasefire by coming up with all of these conditions and reasonings that prolong the ceasefire and continue the war so that they can continue to get money from AIPAC and other lobby groups to support their campaign.
Why a tribunal rather than a protest, say, outside his office?
So we've had many protests outside of his office at this point. On November 9th, we had a die-in outside of his office, and we met with his staffers, urging him to support an immediate and permanent ceasefire. On November 17th, we were invited to a Zoom meeting with Representative Swalwell, which included Professor Fareed Senzai from the local Santa Clara State University, as well as Nahid Senzai, who is a local children's author. And we met with him, urging again to call for a ceasefire, and he continued to hold out. So on November 29th, we came back to his office a third time, and we met with Swalwell via FaceTime, and we held a rally outside of his office and a march down Redwood Road and Castro Valley Boulevard, and we held an art build and a vigil outside of the Castro Village Shopping Center. And all this led up eventually to a town hall, which took place December 12th, in which Swalwell addressed, the ongoing crisis in Gaza and spoke with members of his constituency. And the whole town hall itself was a sham. He took complete control of the event, did not allow any of the people speaking to reply to what he said. And he honestly said some very nasty, hurtful things. He claimed, that he was, deserving of empathy and that we weren't being empathetic of him and his situation, even though, some of these people in our group are Palestinian Americans who have seen like the most horrific, terrifying, things in their lifetimes and have shared, some of their trauma and the pain of their story and their lives and experiences with him. But he still made it all about himself and claimed that we needed to be more empathetic of him instead of the other way around.
That's political analyst, author, and activist Vann Jones.